look for ways to try to ease our minds, forced into a change. I guess it had to be this way. But do your best to try to stay away. The day they closed the world, we all went inside, looking for the light. The day they closed the world, we all realize what it means to try. So hold on to the love, don't you be afraid. There come a time when you will have your say. And don't forget to pray the Lord to keep us safe. We will live to fight another day. The day they closed the world, we all went inside, looking for the light. The day they closed the world, we all realize what it means to try. I can feel it coming, I can see it miles away. I can feel the sun of brighter days. I can hear the laughter, I can see your smiling face. I can feel the love that's on the way. The day they closed the world, we all went inside, looking for the light. The day they closed the world, we all realize what it means to try. The day they closed the world, we all went outside, looking for the light. I can feel it coming, I can see it miles away. I can feel the sun of brighter days. I can hear the laughter, I can see your smiling face. I can feel the love that's on the way. I can feel it coming, I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming, I can feel it coming. The day they close the world.
Wow, I absolutely just love that song. That is The Day They Closed the World. That is Mark McGee and his beautiful wife. Mark McGee used to play with the Greg Allman Band. It's called loveplanet.net. Go check them out and support our wonderful, glorious musicians. It is fabulous. Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild and Love Coach Academy and all of the other networks that we are live on. Hi there. How are you doing? I am Debbie G. Tonight is Spark the G Vibe Sunday. That is your gratitude vibration, your God vibration, your good vibration, whatever you want that G to be, let it be that. So tonight I have with me one of the most spectacular people. That this guy's energy is like over the top. We're going to hear all kinds of new words, well, new to some of you. Kundalini, Shakti, enlightenment. What are we doing in this world today? What's happening? Steven Sadleir. Steven's core competence is to raise consciousness and bring spirituality to business and to life through the understanding of the science of the spirit and knowing how to conduct energy more powerfully. He has a 30-year track record of enlightening others. Let me bring to the screen. Welcome, Steven. Sai.
Oh, hello, namaste. Good to be here.
Namaste.
Thank you.
I'm really actually, I'm so very excited that you're here because I've been watching a lot of the things you've been putting out lately, and what I do know for certain is that you have so many years behind you in the study of not just spirituality and Shakti and all of this, but also you come from a telecommunication and the financial world and all of that. So you really have a deeper understanding of what's happening in the world right now, even. So I'm just going to kind of let you start because when he talks, people listen. I think that was used before. We just will use it again.
How much do your listeners know about me? Anything?
Well, a few of them on here absolutely know about you, but you know what? Some of them don't know. So for those who don't know, go.
Want me to give like a
talk about that.
just spiritually speaking, because you see me in the garb. My inspiration to share with you is the enlightenment occurring within individuals and around the world, and it ties into all the politics and weird stuff that's happening in the world too. This is happening on a global scale, and everybody that's listening to you is listening because they're a part of this movement. There's an awakening occurring within the collective consciousness of humanity. So we can look at this from different perspectives, and that ties back into my bio. One is the spiritual. So I started meditating as a child innately. 5 years old, I was meditating on my bunk bed. At 16, I drove up to the top of a mountain and God spoke to me. I was meditating on the top of the Palisades Glacier in California out of Independence. And I was called to write a book. So I began a 20-year quest of writing a book on all the religions of the world, including not just all the different denominations of Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and so forth, but the shamanistic paths and the different gurus, going to India, studying all the different paths to yoga and meditation. And I got to study with the greatest masters on earth. I mean, I've been trained as a Kundalini master under Vettatri Maharishi. I studied under the Kriya lineage, Chuni Law Lahiris, and so I have this spiritual basis, which kind of has shown me what's happening in the world from that perspective. And then I got the grounding that you were talking about is my involvement in business, first in education, getting a master's degree in international banking because a friend of mine was assassinated who had been a congressman and a ambassador for President Jimmy Carter to the United Nations. So he was a very high-ranking person, and we became friends. He actually marched with Martin Luther King in the civil rights movement, and he got the stuff kicked out of him because he was a Jewish boy marching with the colored people. But to me, that it's like, wow, what a man that would really do that. He lived his conviction, you know. So he was an inspiration to me. He was later assassinated, MK Ultra style, and he told me he was going to be because he was trying to reopen the Warren investigation. So all of that and one of the things he told me, I should say, was, Stephen, if you want to know who controls the world, follow the money. So I ended up going to Menlo and then Stanford and getting a scholarship, Rotary Scholarship, to the University of Wales to study international banking, specifically to see how does this World Bank and global governance through the Bank of International Settlements and World Bank work. Who are these people? And who's the United Nations? And who killed my buddy, Allard Lowenstein? You know, kind of got me going, like, hey, you can't do that. So I learned. And so my life is a bit of infusion between having actually worked. I worked for the government. After getting my master's, I worked for the US government. I've worked with the CIA. I've worked with Lloyds Bank as head of the international department in Los Angeles. So I've worked on very big international projects and have a sense of how the world really works at that level. And knowing those people involved, I also see and know about a plan that's been unfolding for a long, long time. And this plandemic and these staged riots are a part of a much bigger plan to bring forth what's called a new world order. And, you know, people used to laugh at that, like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist if you say it. But in fact, you can go to the United Nations, it's UN New World Order, UNNWO.org, and they lay it all out. Here's the New World Order that we want to lay out. And it sounds wonderful. They got Happiness Day and all these things. Everyone's going to be so happy, but they all want you chipped. They want to be able to control you through the 5G network. And it's dystopian. If you've ever seen the movie 1984 or read the book by George Orwell.
Aren't they taking that? Didn't I read that Amazon is removing it?
Yeah, well, it was
Or did you? Was it?
it was
were you
Kindle.
talking about that? Kindle. Kindle's removing it. Okay.
Well,
So
Kindle removed my book. Kindle removed Money and Power: The Secret History, which is my explanation for how the world government works, basically.
I know, and I love that because it's very fascinating. And what I'm going to encourage people to do is to go over to Steven's page here on Facebook, because he's done a couple of lives and it's also on your YouTube. And go watch the presentation that he's done on all of this, because it's quite fascinating. I mean, honestly, it's like, what's an hour long, hour and a half, I think.
I talk a lot.
He talks a lot, so it's like an hour and a half long. No, you guys really, it's really, really fascinating, and I've listened to it twice, and I'm going to listen to it again because it's a lot to take in.
Shocking, because most people don't know it's, especially when you get into the media and Secret Service and what's really happening on the world. They're not telling us. But you and I were talking earlier about what's cool about it is that it's actually awakening people up, and there's something much bigger happening, something much more exciting happening that we are all playing a part of. So, you know, it's kind of like if you're going to plant some new seeds, because the old seeds aren't very good. The seeds that we planted in government, I'll say, could be better. And not to judge any one party or person, but what we're doing now, there's an uptilling. We got to turn the soil over. We got to put some new manure down. You know what I mean? Plant some new consciousness, if you will. And us are the ones that bring it forward. This is the people rising up and saying, this is what we want to create. Happiness and peace. Gratitude. We'll start with gratitude for what we have and bring some sanity back into the world. But I think the biggest problem, and it comes back to our title, is this enlightenment. What is enlightenment? What is happening? And we were talking about
what is that? Yeah.
Precession of the equinox, and there's all these cool things happening. What got our attention is the craziness happening in the world, the pandemic, the riots, the craziness in government. Who can you believe? You know, all the love and hate, the divisiveness. It's like, well, that's just at the surface. This is really kind of cracking the shell for our spirit to open up and to see what's really happening in the world. And I was telling WG that it's very fascinating that a number of astrological occurrences are happening right now. Whether you believe them or not, cultures all over the world did. The Sumerians, the Harappan culture in India, the Chinese culture, later the Babylonians and Chaldeans, and the Hebrew too. And it goes all the way down to the Mayan calendar that just went through its cycle or is going through its cycle. And they all refer to something that most people don't really know about. It's called the precession of the equinox. So in addition to the Earth spinning round and round, creating day and night, and in addition to us spinning around the sun, creating the seasons in the year, the Earth has kind of a wobble. And so if you were to stick a pointing stick up through the Earth, like in a globe, if a globe might be spinning because there's a stick run through it, where that pointing stick is coming out, basically north, is moving. If we were to divide the northern hemisphere into 12 pieces, we call one Aquarius, one Pisces, and so forth. That pointing stick's going to travel and make a complete circle. That wobble takes 26,000 years. So each section is approximately 2,100 years. So at the time of Abraham, the wobble, the pointing stick was pointing more at the sign of Taurus. And then during Moses, at the advent of Moses' time, it was pointing more in the sign of the ram. at the advent of Christ, it was pointing at the sign of the fish, Pisces. And it's just starting to hit in the sign of Aquarius right now, which is the sign of the enlightenment of man. And it's not just the Sumerians and the Babylonians and the Hebrew. If you look at the fulfillment in Hebrew terms or in Christian terms, you'll see that there's statehood. There's all these things that were predicted about Israel, the Hebrew language flourishing, a completion of the diaspora, in other words, and people coming back, and the generation of water and crops, and it goes on and on and on. The second coming of Christ's word is literally dug out of the desert, starting with the Nag Hammadi Library, the Berlin Codex. We have the oldest Bible in the world, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they start giving us a new telling of what these teachings are. Less of a sin and guilt and shame kind of motif, and more of Jesus showing us the way to find the kingdom that lies within us. And finding the kingdom within us is enlightenment. And so when you find some of these books that had been forgotten or not used, you find, like the apostle, and whether you're a Christian or not, this is just cool stuff,
Yeah. Wow.
Think of the enlightened master. What did the master say that we didn't hear? Because most of us have at least heard parts of the New Testament say, right? So the apostles are asking Jesus, when will the kingdom come? Because the whole thing was about finding the kingdom of God that lies within us. Well, when are we going to find this? And some of them were finding it. Some of them are entering into the state and saying they're with him in the kingdom while they're still alive. So the apostles that were still trying to find it says, when will it come? And he says, it will not come by waiting for it. You cannot say that it's over here or over there, for the kingdom of the Father is spread out before man, and he sees it not. So those that advise, let them see. So what's he saying? It will not come by waiting for it, because it's in the now. We call that in the now. It's in the present moment. God's presence is here right now. Don't wait for it. Even though this is the age of enlightenment, this is where we're realizing it now, in the here and now. And he says, it's not over here, it's not over there. He says very clearly, it's spread out before you. It's right here, but you don't see it. Those that advise, let them see. It's like open your third eye, which is the metaphor or the analogy for opening your psychic awareness. Become aware of what your awareness is. And that's what I came here to share with you. Let's talk about energy, consciousness. How do we evolve ourselves to our highest potential? Because that's really what the enlightenment is. All the societal, economic, and other stresses and things are there to wake us up. And we see that there's actually something bigger that we're a part of. We're part of this small but rapidly growing segment of the population that is enlightening, that is waking up, that is first realizing, hey, media's been lying to me, and I don't know who I can trust in government anymore, really, right? But I know the answers lie within me, right? We know the truth lies within ourselves. And so self-realization and the Self-Awareness Institute and the work I do is all about going within to that place where you already know the answers lie, that source of life itself within you. What is it that animates your existence? One day it's going to be gone, right? And the body will just decompose. Maybe it'll rot, maybe you'll burn it, but you won't be that body anymore. It's just a cell structure, right? But what was that animates your existence? See, most people don't really know that. They know they have it or they believe it. You call it a soul, the spirit. We're really talking about the life force within us that is us, but also it's the innate intelligence. There's something like a higher mind is what I'm getting at. So what I want to do, what I want to help all the viewers do right now is just first of all, be aware of the energy in their body. Just feel it in your nervous system. Let's go not just in the head. Let's first go in the heart. Now, can I start with a prayer? Just kind
Yeah,
of
I would love for you to do that. And I want to just tell you before that we step into this prayer, everybody, if you're driving, please don't do this. But if you're not driving, please do join us right now for prayer, and also to get into yes, your higher. Josie's saying our higher eternal self. This is fantastic. So we're going to go into prayer, but I wanted to mention that I had been speaking to Josie right prior to this evening, and she, you know what she said? She goes, he's got Jesus's energy just flowing through him.
Well, Jesus lives right here.
Yeah.
His house. I don't go home. I don't go anywhere without him. But having said that, be careful. I wrote a whole book about Jesus, but I don't go for this televangelism stuff at all. I don't like these people that are trying to make millions of dollars off of Christ. I
Right,
don't.
right. But that's a whole different, yeah.
Go to sin, and by the way, give me some money.
Yeah.
That's what Christ taught. I love Jesus, but I have some, what I would say are reforms maybe in the church as a whole, and certainly pedophilia has just got to go. Period. Come on.
Christ energy. And speaking of Christ energy, because I swear you're just so incredible with the flow of knowledge coming through. But everybody, you guys ready?
Buzz. Let's get a buzz. You wanna?
Yeah, let's get it on, guys. Ready?
The G vibe. Well, let's get the G vibe going, the God vibe, right? So let's just be aware of how much energy is in our body. I mean, first of all, there's something that brought you here. What is that? What is that instinct or that curiosity maybe that brought you here to be listening to me right now? I want to pay tribute to that or honor that in you, and I invite you to look for that within yourself and honor that part of you that is encouraging you in the broadest sense to learn and grow and evolve, to realize your full potential and realize yourself, realize God, become self-realized. And at the very top of the pyramid is what? The enlightenment of the consciousness itself. I mean, truly come into the kingdom of God. And this is the age, which is kind of what we were talking about a moment ago. This is the age where the masses of humanity are supposed to start enlightening. Whether you talk about the Kabbalah, and I studied with Rabbi Philip S. Berg, and he was telling me too that this is the age where people are going to enlighten. We've been waiting for this age. It's within Christian mysticism. It's within the Madib understanding within Islam. It's within, all the great cultures of the world. So I want to invite you to look within yourself and see where you fit in the greater scheme of things, you might say. Just open your heart. Let's take a deep breath. And I just say, Lord, help me to be a pure vehicle for your love, light, and wisdom. What do I know? All I know is I want to be with you, and I ask for your guidance. I hope I say some good stuff that can help people. And I don't purport to be anyone or have anything except love in my heart that I want to share with you. So take a deep breath and check in with the life force within yourself. Just know there's energy in your nervous system, right? Matter of fact, make a fist and curl your toes. And you can see when I contract my fingers and toes, you're sending energy, electricity through your nervous system to make the contraction in your hands and feet. Now release your hands and feet, close your eyes, roll your eyes up. Let's all just imagine we're stepping into a hot tub or a jacuzzi of consciousness, just a pool of love. We're just going to hang out with God and get high on God, all right? Like bong hits on God. Everyone take a deep breath. And when you breathe in, there's life force energy in the air, right? There's a North Pole, a South Pole, there's an electromagnetic field. And when you inhale, you're drawing in air that is charged with a current. And we call that vital air prana in yoga. Some of you've heard that before, and it moves as chi in your body. So as you breathe in, I just want you to be mindful of the energy that you're inhaling and connect with it. So you kind of feel it or intuit it or just recognize it first in your nervous system, in the chi in your body, maybe imagine the meridians in your body. Feel it in the electromagnetic fields around your body. So there's likewise a kind of a plus charge at the top of the head, a negative charge at the bottom of the tailbone, and the energy goes up your central nervous system, right? So just like a wire going from one end to the other, there's a current that flows up to the top of the head, and then it fans out, and it comes around, envelops the body like an egg. It comes back up to the South Pole at your tailbone. Just like every cell, just like every being, like every planet, like every star, like every galaxy, there's a North Pole, South Pole, there's a field around it. And so I just want you to be present to that electromagnetic field in your body, and maybe just bring your hands up and play around. You'll feel pressure, you'll feel heat, you feel gravity, you feel a lot of things, but I want to see if you can feel like if you're playing with magnets, there's kind of a fluffiness or an energy between your hands. So you've already got the pilot lit, your kundalini's lit, your life force energy is lit, your spirit's already alive. All we want to do is kind of cultivate that, right? We want to build it up so we have more life force that makes us healthier, stronger, more regenerative. The life force in us, the stock of vital life force makes us more resistant to disease and being tired. So just breathe in, and as you breathe in, feel like you're breathing in that energy, which you are, and just internalize it and enjoy it, like flush it out. And as you breathe out, we just feel, as we're sitting here in the hot tub, just imagine you're soaking in it all the way up to your neck, and you can just feel the warm, bubbly feeling lapping up inside you. Feel it soaking into your muscles and tendons and bones. Your whole body's just like whatever. You're just stoned now. Stoned on God's love, by the way. Just breathe in, and as you breathe in, feel like your buddy breathing with the divine. If you like that analogy, just feel like it's that intimate a contact, though. Like there's a real life force, a real Holy Spirit, if you will, that's coming inside you. For the same thing, making your heartbeat makes my heartbeat, right? All of us draw our life from the same source, but by whatever name you want to call it, I'll just call it God. But whatever that is, we're just connecting with it within ourselves. That's the essence of what we're doing here. So first, breathe in and feel it in your nervous system, feel it in your chi, feel it in the electromagnetic fields all around your body, like your auric field or your biomagnetic field. And then feel it around the earth. And maybe you'll feel it around the moon, if you're sensitive to it, or even the planets and the sun and the other galaxies. And in fact, the entire universe is encompassed in a unified field. Matter of fact, the field is created by the expansion of the time-space continuum, otherwise known as the Big Bang. So we're all apart. There are fields within fields within fields within fields. And really, it's a matter of where our aperture of awareness is that we tune into, that we become cognizant or process the energy that moves in that kind of gradient. So when we meditate, what we're really doing is first of all, we want to step back from our mind, because our mind can be so programmed, so indoctrinated, or so full of stuff that you just don't need. It's not my idea to tell you what you need, but when you step back, and I want to invite everybody listening to me right now to just step back and just imagine like we're in this jacuzzi of consciousness. We can just step out of our physical self, and as spirit, just observe, and maybe observe our mind. Step out of what was and will be. Step out of whatever you were thinking. Just see your thoughts like a screen, like a movie. You can watch your life as if it was a movie, because it is. And from this place of being the witness, you begin to gain control over your mind and senses. And that's what's so exciting, is you're not limited to the constructs, your fears, limiting beliefs. And when you get into this other reality, you're kind of like not stuck in your head, in your own mind's idea of who it thought you were, as your mind becomes more aware of the consciousness that you are. So there's kind of a fundamental watcher or witness to whatever the senses are taking in, whatever the brain is processing. And that consciousness itself is innately what you are. And the consciousness in you is kind of like the consciousness in me and in Debbie G and all the rest of you. So the analogy that's really helpful as we get into this kind of abstraction, I want to invite you to take your hands up too as I'm talking to you. And I'm just going to send you some energy. I want to see if you can feel that in your hands. So just spread your fingers out like little tuning forks. If I were to take a tuning fork and strike it, the other tuning forks would feel the vibration. We'd harmonize. So I'm the conductor. Each of you are an instrument, and we're going to create these spiritual harmonies together. So this is just a way we can play. So bring your hands up and feel the energy in your hands and just observe. So think of it like maybe a satellite dish, and I'm just sending you what's called Shakti. So if you know what's Shakti, it's just spiritual energy. It's love. I'm feeling this really incredible connection. So it's transmitted to you. And we've all felt this in as simple a thing as holding a baby, or nursing a baby, or being nursed, or, but I want to see if you can feel this divine energy just through your hands right now. Breathe in and pull it in. And then you can bring your hands back down, or maybe even play with the energy a little bit. See if your hands are a little more charged up. So it's almost like there's a beach ball in front of your chest. And then remind me at the end of today's class, we can do it again. We'll keep building the energy up, but everybody should be able to feel a little bit of energy right now. Do you feel it?
Phew. Yeah, I'm like, you're making me hot.
Yeah, good. That's your
Well,
kundalini. So you're saying, what's your kundalini? Well, there it is. See,
yep,
it's
it's
like we have a pilot light. Now in
like,
Western medicine, we call it your endocrine system. And it's very interesting to note that each chakra, you've probably all heard the word chakra, each chakra. So my guru, the Maharishi, was also a doctor and an Ayurvedic doctor and a homeopath. And so he explained it in terms of the science. Each chakra lies in a different endocrine gland in our sympathetic nervous system. So the root chakra corresponds with either the ovaries or the testicles. And then the second chakra corresponds with the adrenal glands, the third with the pancreas and spleen, the fourth with the thymus, the fifth with the thyroid, parathyroid, the sixth is the pituitary and the pineal gland, which release the peptides. So when I say look at your third eye, which is the next step in the meditation, what that's actually doing, and you see, yogis put a dot here, and
mm-hmm.
Buddha's got a dot here, and Shiva's got what's with the dot,
Yeah, what is with the dot? I'm curious,
The
actually.
thing with the dot is when you focus here, it's like a relaxation response. It's like turning your light on. If you go into the room, there's already electricity in the house, right?
Yeah.
But when you room, if you go flick the switch on, what happens? The light goes on. Well, when you meditate and roll your eyes up and gaze here, at a physiological level, you're stimulating the pituitary and the pineal gland. They're releasing peptides, which is creating a relaxation response, a natural biofeedback mechanism that puts you from a beta brainwave into an alpha brainwave, into a theta brainwave, into a delta brainwave very, very quickly. And so by looking at your third eye, boom, you can just snap into these really deep states. That's what my classes teach people. How do I connect to source? And then how do I recalibrate? Because you see, the whole idea is you connecting to source, and then that inner knowing, that inner light starts coming out of you. My job is to help open it up and, let go of the resistance and just let the light out, because you're too already enlightened, right? Just like you already know the answers lie within, but you may not be walking in that light every day, or maybe you just like to have more light come out. And so the role of the guru or the teacher is really just, let's bring it on. Let's pull that light out from within you until you're lit up. And when the more you practice, the better you get, the higher you get, the more light flows through what you think and say and do, which means you're starting to now effectuate the light all around you. And people like you, Debbie, you're able to, transmit it then to all your network. And then all the people that listen to you or me, they start to transmit it through their network. And this is how we create the critical mass that is creating the shift in the collective consciousness of humanity, the collective awakening of humanity, the enlightenment of humanity. This is how we're going to overcome these people that want to enslave us or control us or hold us back and force us to do things that they think we need to do. And they're not healthy and they're not happy. And yet people are eating horrible food, just basic things. Part of our awakening is really learning, hey, I need to eat good food. I need to find some time for me to be quiet and still and go within. However you meditate and pray, just you're making that time. And what happens is your spirit it's just like you feed it and it starts to grow and it gets brighter. So everyone listening is actually awakening right now, whether you realize it or not. That seed of consciousness has already been planted in you, which is a good thing, because all it's really meaning is you're accessing your own potential. And now your inner guidance, hopefully I can help you. Hopefully Debbie can help you. The outer maybe can reinforce what you know inside or encourage you or inspire you. But ultimately what we want to do is feed that inner knower and let that out so that it's now what you think, it's what you say, it's what you do, you live it.
I love this. Let's check in, Sai, with the audience, because I'd like to recognize a couple of the people here. Wendy, hi, sweetheart, and hi, Karen. I love you. Karen Palmer is the co-founder of Spirituality Gone Wild, and she says the truth lies within us. I also want to know from anybody in the audience, I want to know if what you've experienced during this last half an hour we've been on, and as you've been going through this process, I want to know, I seriously was hot. Like, and I always know that that's like spirit tapping in, and my hands get hot, but my hands were pulsating, just
Mm.
pulsating. Just it was freaking awesome. So Josie had a couple of questions, and plus she was saying also here, our higher eternal self. And hi Nina, hi Nina, and she also said realm, not religious. Uriel's light, absolutely beautiful. Hi Cindy, Prince of Palm Springs. Hello Fleety, I love you. So let's look at Josie's question, and then I will stop talking, because me talking is just not even, I want you to talk. Though I do, look at this.
Talking to. It's nice to hear your voice
Oh,
and to
thank
meet
you.
all your friends. Did you have a question? Did someone just pop up to ask me a question?
Yep. Let's check this out. So from a spiritual enlightenment point, do you think we are raising our vibration?
Yeah, I think even us just talking about it now, I think once you start reflecting on your own potential, you begin to realize your own potential. So once you begin to think about enlightenment and what ways, so one of the questions I would ask in a class or to a student would be, okay, well, how deeply are you connected right now? And so we can kind of check in with ourselves, can't we? Once we ask ourselves, well, how conscious am I? And maybe you even have a scale from 1 to 10 or as a percentage. But once you reflect, is the point, you stop, say, the thought momentum or the emotional spin, and you step back from it. All of a sudden, there's some objectivity in the broadest sense, but even at a deeper sense, the self-reflection puts you in a state of higher consciousness. So when you stop to self-reflect, when you listen to people like these discussions we're having about enlightenment, it actually develops the synapses. It's called dendritic branching. In your brain, you have billions of little brain cells. So one of the analogies I was coming to, I didn't quite get to earlier, was if we think of each of our cells like a cell in the mind of God, a brain cell. So the same consciousness that's in me is actually in you. We're sharing the same God consciousness, but it's coming out through different forms, different cells. And the same consciousness isn't even in the other neurons. It's in the other glial cells and other kinds of cells in that collective consciousness. And what we're beginning to realize is we're actually a part of that whole collective consciousness, the oneness, some people would say. You know, there's more, we are part of a greater system of organizing intelligence. We are part of a greater love, is another way to look at it. And when we see that light that is within us, within others, then it brings that out in others and in ourselves. We live in that light. We live in God's kingdom. We bring that forward. But whether you want to look at it religiously or scientifically, the point is we're at a higher vibration. So we're not in states of lust and vanity and greed and anger. And we naturally want to help each other because we see a part of each other in everyone else and vice versa. It's a different state of consciousness to live in. And all it takes is us beginning to recognize it within ourselves and then bring it out from within ourselves for it to shine out into the world around us and be seen and felt. And that's where you live in love. It's by recognizing and letting out the love that's already there, just waiting for you to find it. So can I play a game? Did we already do the?
Yeah, let's listen. I'll play. Yeah, we could play a game. I'll play a game. Well, definitely.
Because I noticed I was talking a lot.
I love
Me,
that.
we versus me. What was that?
We versus me, heart energy.
Is that a question?
I think she's just saying it's like, rather than, yeah, so it's now me. The we is our ego, we versus me.
Well, let's just go into love anyway.
Let's just go into love. Heart, mind and heart coherence, like Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about that, but so does Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I really love. I want to play a game. I just want to, let's see, Josie did say this, that she's feeling light and uplifted.
Yay.
You're
Well, I
going to
love
get to meet Josie, by the way. She's really
good.
super duper. Oh yeah. Just so that you know. Look at this. Uh-huh. Gratitude and grace. I'm loving this. Yes, Nina. Grace and gratitude. So we're going to play a game. And thank you, Jay Meyer. Jay Mayer. Sorry, Jay. Jay Mayer, light touch. I love you. Okay. Let's play a game.
Back to me? You want me to?
Yeah.
We were talking about Shakti, we were talking about energy. I had you put your hands up. You don't need to do that. There's another way we can do it, and that is through the eyes. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Okay.
So I just want to get real with you. And it kind of freaks people out sometimes, but you're safe behind your computer. But I just want to take what I'm feeling and look at you and share where I'm at with you and see if you can plug into that. And at one level, you're already plugged into it, Now close your eyes. So sometimes when we do this, you'll feel like a buzzing, a tingling. You might see light. You might feel emptiness. But I'd like to invite everyone simply to observe whatever they're feeling. And then observe the part of them that is observing the feeling. And then observe the observer observing it. Trippy, huh? So this is like an exercise. This is like a place we can go, because most of our lives we're also dialed on this little narrow bandwidth of thinking that we don't often have the big picture. We may not have. It's kind of like looking through a microscope. We see our life sometimes through a very narrow aperture of our own thought processes, what we're worried about or trying to work out or hearing on the radio or watching on TV or something, So when you step back and all of a sudden what you begin to see is this, how interconnected you are with everything, how you're being guided. And that's where it becomes very practical, because not only do you feel more of the grace and more of the love and more of the peace, you feel you kind of are in the zone, right? More of the Tao. Let's say you're in the now of Tao, baby. You're dancing. It's a dance. All of a sudden life's more of a dance than like a confrontation or a stressful thing. And because of that receptivity and connectivity, because of literally the energy around your head and what you're transmitting, you naturally get attracted to the people, places, and situations, like us getting connected to this show, my new Enlightenment Network being launched, all these things that boom, boom, you start to think something and boom, people come in, opportunities, things start to click, bang, it goes out. That's the magic. It's getting connected with who you are and why you were born. It's self-realization, really. And so right now there's people all over the world that they're already kind of waking up, but they're now getting ready for a full enlightenment. And the difference is realizing what enlightenment is. It's kind of like saying mastery, where I'm really ready to live in that light of my truth, your truth. But I think if we're honest, we're not all living it all the time. The stresses of daily living can kind of interfere with our bliss. So there's a way you want to be able to manage that, or bring it back into the world too. And that's just a matter of tools and training.
Well, I'm totally loving it.
Yeah.
I'm in awe, actually. So let's I'm in awe. This is just wonderful. How are you guys having a good time tonight, or what? This is brilliant. I felt like I was looking in a mirror, and Josie says beautiful.
Bless you. Thank you for that. The light in me recognizes the light in you.
Yes. Now, let's go into, let's talk about the Shakti Pak a little bit.
Sure. Just talk. Well,
Explain. Because for those who are new to it like me, or maybe for those of you that have never heard about the Shakti Pak before, I'd love for them to understand it more.
Sure. Shakti Pat really just means energy. Shakti is a broad term for energy, referring to life force energy, as opposed to, say, an electrical current per se, that doesn't have any aliveness to it. And we all conduct it. Every living thing has it. Life is imbued with it. We were talking about the electromagnetic fields around the earth and so forth. And when we breathe in, we conduct it. So we're conductors of life force. As we breathe in, the energy tends to move down the sides of our spine through nerve ganglia, and then they meet at the base and come back up the center. And we call that our central nervous system, through the nerves bundled up in our vertebral column, right? So that's that energy the yogis call the kundalini. And it's not just the energy, it's the innate intelligence and how it transforms through each of your endocrine glands as it moves up. And what's happening right now, this is the exciting part. If you can just imagine this, as you're sitting here with me, we can kind of be in an open eye meditation and realize that all this energy that's coming, even by thinking about it, we're starting to bring energy up into what are called the frontal and temporal lobes of the neocortex. So that's the crown, or the crown chakra, perhaps you've heard of. So if you were to imagine where a crown was placed on your head, well, what that's referring to is the last part of the cranium to develop in a human being. We're still evolving as a species. So there's a vast potentiality that has not yet been fully realized through both the bringing the energy up through the third eye meditation and connecting with your own life force energy. So that's like your compass that you can get balanced or get centered or get aligned with and get quiet and get still and connect to source again. So this is how you connect to source. The other thing is what I was mentioning earlier, being the witness or the observer, watching your mind like it was a computer or TV, just running tapes, and you step back from it. So, okay, there's some distance between the part of me observing the mind and the mind itself. And pretty soon you begin to realize you are not your mind. And when you begin to realize you are not your mind, you're not encapsulated or trapped by the trammels of the mind and senses, the hell in your head, the old conditioning, the fears, the attachments, the desires, the pains of your past, and so forth. They're just things. They're like, okay, those are stored in some neurons in my brain. But the other part that's even more important is as you activate this crown, and even as I'm talking to you, you might begin to feel some tingling up there. There's a physiological effect called the dendritic branching. And that means each neuron in your brain is like a little sea urchin. It's got little spines that stick out. And they're called axons and dendrites. The long ones are the axons. They connect at what are called the synapses. Chemical bonds and electrical currents flow from neuron to neuron to neuron as a result. They kind of link up like a chain of pearls around your neck. The neurons link through these magnetic connections, or through the dendrites, the little connections. And that's what forms the brain matter or mass. So as I ask you to think about it, to look within your mind, to imagine the top of your brain starting to develop, even your thinking of that, even your self-reflection, when I asked you to observe the part of you observing your mind or the feeling or the sensation, observing the part of you that's observing, and all of a sudden you kind of go, well, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, or I'm not sure if this is working, or what is that? But you keep stepping back, observing that which is observing that. And pretty soon the you begins to disappear a little bit. You get out of your egoic sense of self, we'll say, and you begin to feel the spirit self, you might say, or the consciousness that you are. And then the more you get into that place, the somatic place, you might say in yogic term, where you're just communing with God, you feel that grace. Then what happens is you bring it back. As you come back into your world, you can start to have that awareness through what you're thinking. And then you watch your thoughts and you can say, I'm not going for that. So you don't get as stuck. You don't stay stuck as much. You don't react as much. You don't, you know what I mean? You're more centered more of the time. And it's really a matter of your practice, how much you're meditating and how much you are observing your own mind and being in the state of grace and love, being in love. It's really how much of the time are you feeling love? And if you're not feeling love, you come back to love. And then if you need help, I'd like to help. I'd like a brother or a guru, however you want, a teacher, whatever you think of it. I like to support people in the development of their consciousness.
And so I want to talk about that for a second for everybody, that how can people take your workshops? I mean, do they just go here to enlightenmentnetwork.net?
Well, that happens to be something I've been working on for years and years. I did a self-realization course, and I did it live, teleconference, and we've done this for 30 years. I mean, thousands of people in over 100 countries, and it was $1,500, by the way, and broadcast over 12 weeks. And a friend of mine in India said, well, why don't we record it? You'll reach more people, and we can drop the price point, of course, down to a couple hundred, less than that, even $100, I think. And we put it on film. So that's available, and it's free viewing too. You can watch the first 3 for free, I think. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm also on Enlightenment Radio, and that's free. I have satsangs or talks that they're picked up on from Spotify to iCloud to iHeartRadio and FM, and I'm on 24 different stations. So they're me giving talks. Sometimes it's a talk, sometimes it's a meditation, but something fun, some place where you get energy too. The whole idea is if you just want to plug in and like start getting some kind of exercise, like a yoga of the spirit. So I'm exercising your spiritual energy, helping you get stronger and brighter, and may your aura glow brighter.
May your aura go black.
Or whatever.
Yeah, no, actually, instead of a glow stick, it's your aura stick, your aura glow.
Get your aura on, baby,
Get your aura on. So everybody ready to get their aura on?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like this has just been extraordinary. So let's talk about some other practices people can do right now to really get into their body and really participate with their soul and with their spirit.
Well, I think one of the things you can do is really ask yourself questions and journal. So one of the things I ask all my students to do is keep a journal. And you say, okay, well, and you're not just wasting time talking about your day for hours, because who has that time anymore? And you want to do it on paper, really, it'll be better. But the idea is you ask yourself questions. One of the questions is, what is the question I should be asking myself?
Oh.
The first question you should ask is, what is the best question I should be asking myself? Is it, who am I? Why was I born? Was it, how can I serve? Who is God? Why is this happening to me? Maybe one of the questions you can ask is, what am I being tested in? And so you can go down kind of an accounting of your moods. Have I been angry or upset or worried or frustrated, or at least acknowledge it and say, well, how much of my day am I spending with these thoughts? And do I have some other options? Do I have some other perspectives? Do I have another way I could look at it so I'm more conscious more often? I often ask people, say, look, from 1 to 10, just check in throughout the day and say, am I down in a 2, which is a bummer? Or am I just kind of A, which is a 5? Or am I freaking up in the 7s and 8s and 9s? If you're not in the 9s, you can start to ask yourself, why am I not in the 9s more often? How come I'm down here in the freaking 5s all the time? Well, it's what you're putting your mind on. So if you're keeping track of that, you've got to ask yourself, okay, I'm choosing to be in a 5. I know what I can do to get to a 7 at least. And if I can't, I'd rather hang out at a 6. So maybe I'll do some breathing. Maybe I'll meditate. Maybe I'll talk to a friend. Maybe I'll go out in nature. You have your list of things that help you, and you tune in and let it help you. And that's what your journaling is too. What are the things that help me? What are the questions I should ask? How am I being guided? What are my opportunities is another great question. What's showing up for me? Like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So what is that telling me? What are the hints I'm getting? Sometimes it's good just to ask, what do I want too, at a very basic level? Just, well, I want peace of mind, or I want to make $1 million, or I do want another house, or I want a new car, or just a few $100 to fix my windshield, or whatever it is,
I'm
So
saying okay to all that.
yeah, exactly.
Right, absolutely.
That's another thing it's good to do in your journal then, is get clear on what you want to manifest, and just accept this or something better. I'm just asking, and look for the opportunities. And then the other half of it is you put it out there. So you want to broadcast. That's why the meditation and the Shakti pot is so powerful, because now you're going to manifest more powerfully. Your attractor field stronger, your luminescence is stronger. And so what you think broadcasts out, like, so you can actually feel it after a while even over the internet. And what happens is you will then attract into your life the people, places, and opportunities. But you have to be conscious, which is applying the other. So you're kind of using your mapping compass again. You got to tune in. You got to feel the energy. You got to step back and not just like get caught up in an emotion, a fear, or jumping to a conclusion. You step back and say, okay, what is my mind doing, and what am I intuiting? And these are kind of new skills for a lot of people. But you just practice, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm going to go over here, and all of a sudden you're talking to somebody, and they either invite you on their show, or provide you the resource you're looking for, or ask you for advice, or give you some advice, or you marry them, or whatever. And that's how the magic works. It's a matter of us tuning
Yep.
into already here within us, that source of life, our spirit, or by any other name.
That's just brilliant. Wow. You guys, if you're just joining us, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to this in its entirety here on Spirituality Gone Wild and all the other wonderful places that it's being shown. Um, but before we go, I want to go there. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go there. What the hell is going on in this world? We touched on it a little bit in the beginning. We went
And
into
it's
it.
to our
Oh,
reality, like how we're feeling it. Is that where you're
yep,
going?
yep. Yeah, totally right now. We've talked about let's talk solar flares and things going on, and you guys have been there's been intense energy flying out there. What is
Uh,
up?
well, if you want to play astrology for a minute, we have not only the precession of the equinoxes, we kind of cusp into Aquarian age, or the next age of enlightenment from the Hindu calendar, or and so forth, the wheel of the Bodhidharma of the Buddha, second coming of Christ, fulfillment of Zion with the state of Israel. There's all these kind of converging things. But what's the shakeup? The shakeup is martial law, us being quarantined, us wearing a mask, us being scared. So we've gone from terrorism, the terrorists are going to get us. Now it's the COVID's going to get us. And then it was the rioting. The police are going to kill the black people or whatever. And that's being perpetuated by professionals, by the way. That's not just a grassroots reaction. And I in no way endorse police brutality. I've been a subject of it myself. But what's happening is this is being provoked. There are political people, that are trying to create a one world government. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's even the president, whether you like him or hate him, and it's like everybody either loves or hates Trump. But forget, all politicians, from my perspective, are pieces on a chessboard, and they get their power by the people that put them in power. And there's a giant power play to create a one world government going on right now. And even the president talks about it, which is amazing, because other presidents would never talk about a rogue CIA element, a global government, people trying to create a one world government. And he talks about all that stuff. And it's good, whether you like him or not. The fact he's talking about it is good, because it's bringing to light something people don't know. In my talk, real briefly, like the fact that CBS and NBC were founded by people that were head of psych ops for the CIA and head of propaganda for the NSA, and that our presidents, virtually all since Kennedy, have been working with the Central Intelligence Agency, if you look at their history. So there's this whole thing going on in the world that most people don't know, and they probably don't, up to now, they haven't really wanted to know or cared about knowing. But to your point, Debbie, with all the stuff going on, like, what is this about mass vaccinations? They don't even have the vaccination. We don't know if there's anything can get this nasty COVID out there. We're not really sure what COVID is yet. And we have every reason to believe that it's been blown way out of proportion for political reasons. And now the same man who invented the computer virus launched the computer virus to destroy what was called the DARPANET back then. And those computers then went back and sold the computer virus protection and made money by selling people from the virus that he created. He's now doing the same thing with an actual virus. He's got these organizations, he's trying to promote everybody get the vaccination, which hasn't even been invented yet, supposedly. But who's going to actually profit from that? It's so self-serving in a way. It's evil, really, I think. So the idea of putting chips in people, and that's what they want to do. And it gets really crazy. I don't know how crazy you want to get, but all the stuff about chipping people, you can look it up. Gates brags about there being a chip you can put in your hand, or a tattoo. Google has a tattoo. Elon Musk has Neuralink he'll put in your brain. And if you just go over them, whether you're Christian or not, you freak out. It's amazing. It says right in the book of Revelation that the devil, or Antichrist, that we got to look for, he's going to have a mark on either your hand or in your head. A mark of the beast, it's called, in your hand. And here it is. And without that mark, everybody's going to have it. And with that mark, you can buy or sell. And you cannot buy or sell. You cannot use it for buying or selling without having the beast, the sign of the beast on you. And guess what? The first time in the history of the world, we have a digital technology and we have a digital currency. And Gates and the United Nations and even the World Bank are all talking about us going to a digital world currency that'll all be under their control. And you can't buy and sell anything without the mark on your hand or in your head, which is just like it says in the book of Revelation. So it's pretty fascinating, regardless of your faith or belief, because it's all kooky. I know it sounds kooky, but it's there. It's like, this is actually happening,
Yeah, Josie says it's the Revelation checklist. Yeah.
It is.
It really is. I mean, if anybody, and the back to all there is love.
Yeah.
All there is love.
Shut. Yeah,
right.
that's the
so we
happy
bring
ending.
So just so that well, at least there is a happy ending on this, you guys. And what this whole show's been about is your choice on that happy ending, and how that you want that to look in your own reality, and how that you choose to perceive things. I call it the flip it. Sometimes it's just flip your perception. Just flip it. Just do a flip it. Just observe it from a different angle. There's many different angles to look at something, and everybody in this world has a different perspective. Literally, everybody has their own belief system, their own perspective. Everyone sees life through their own eyes, their own experiences. And so, I mean, you guys see what he's doing right now? He is literally sending energy out through his eyes at this moment into, oh my God, that is rad. Anybody else catching on to this?
Bhakti.
He's sending it out. You can, that's freaking awesome. Do you guys all realize that we all can do this?
Yeah. This is
Of course,
the Age of Enlightenment.
I just want to.
And if you're listening, you're ready for enlightenment, or you wouldn't be here hearing about enlightenment. So the thing that pulled you here, that spirit that is your true nature, has come here, and it's revealing itself to you now, even as you reflect on it now. Cool, huh?
It's completely. I could feel it, and my energy was like, I could feel it, and all of my attention was just directed. I couldn't even think about what I was thinking about, because it just went out the window, and it was just whoa, and that's actually what it felt like, just kind of a shoo.
Yeah.
We all get to learn to play with our energy this way, but I'd like to just respect the 30 years that you have put into this. It's been 30 years into this practice, these practices, yes?
Oh, it's been over 50 years in the practice, but 30 years of doing the self-realization course.
Wow. Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. My goodness. 30 years. So what I'd like to offer everybody is to just please go to the website that is right there. Okay.
Yeah. Take the ride. See if you can get and if there's another place, if that's not working, it's go.enlightenmentnetwork.net. So if you don't see a 3 for free, just put a go in front of Enlightenment Network. Go.Enlightenment Network.
Can we talk about your movie? Because
yeah,
you guys, this is kick-ass. Oh my God. Yeah. Please tell them all about your movie.
Well, I was inspired, like you were saying, we all have this within us, and there are also these great masters around the world. I wanted to find the people that have the most energy. I thought, what if we took all the energy of the world and we focalized it? What if we all worked together? And so since, I was fortunate in writing my book on world religions to meet with a lot of world leaders and work with a lot of gurus. My own guru was very famous. There's still millions and millions of people that follow his teaching, so they know who I am. So when I went to India, what I did first, I was interviewed and I was asked a number of questions. And then I thought, well, I want to go around and interview all the other gurus. So I went to see Sri Ravi Shankar, who's probably the biggest guru in the world now. I went to see Satguru Jagi Vasudeva, the head of the Kriya lineage in Allahabad. And so you also get to see the ashram and get a sense. So I went around to each of the major lineages, basically. And then, so when you're watching me, I'll be asked a question like, well, what is enlightenment? And I go, yada, yada, yada. And then we snap over to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. And I asked him the same question. So it's yada, yada, yada. Oh, you got it? Are those slides from Enlightenment now?
Yeah, this is actually, this is
That's
the
where they
movie.
have the Kumbh Mela, where I was. Some people have heard of that. It's one of the biggest events in the world. Millions of people come to bathe in the Ganges River. So that's me in the Ganges. That's my counterpart in India. Oh, that's cool that you can put that up like that. There's the head of the Kriya lineage. I'm at the Allahabad. So that's the Kriya Yoga ashram in Allahabad. For those that know these names, if you've ever read Autobiography of a Yogi and heard of Paramahansa Yogananda,
Who's that?
that is Jagadish. You know, Jagadish, did you know about my yoga tapas? I got a great story if you don't know it.
Oh, no, I totally don't. Hold on. Let's talk about that.
For my training as a yogi, I'd been sitting for hours a day for my whole life. But when you get serious for me was 12 hours a day. So I went to first the Maharishi, who's my Kundalini master.
Okay.
And I asked him if I could meditate with him in his ashram. So I spent a few weeks there just sitting 12 hours a day. And then I started increasing my time, and I went to Bangalore to meet with Shiva Bala Yogi. And he took me up to 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day, till I was sitting cross-legged in meditation 23 hours a day for 40 days and nights in a row without stopping. And I'm the first. Yeah. So that, and then I was able to do the transmissions, like what you're getting. I had to, and then he died. My guru died. He was kind of preparing me so I could do the transmission, because there's all these people that are waking up right now. So this transmission, it's like an initiation. It's like just helping to pop open that consciousness inside everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's my job. And you said I look like Jesus. Well, Jesus is in me. I don't claim to be him, of course. My ego's not that big, I hope. But he's in my heart, and I feel that love. And so we all have this Christ energy, because it's all the Holy Spirit, you see. What made Jesus wasn't his biology so much as how the Holy Spirit could work through him. Same thing with Buddha, or the same thing with the Maharishi, or you, or me. It's how much have we allowed our body and mind to be a vehicle for our own indwelling spirit, because it's the same spirit within every human being, because it's the same consciousness in every human being. Because we are, like I said, we're all like cells in the mind of God. So, okay, I know you as a cell over here, and I'm over there, but we're all within a collective mind of God, you might say, or the universe even, because the whole universe is alive.
Wow. I want to, Josie says, well, hers was 4 hours for 40 days, and she thought that was a lot. I'm just in.
That
Wow.
is excellent. My hat is off to you. Did you have a guru? Usually to do that, you need a guru. If you can do it on your own, that's great.
I think she did that. Well, you'll get to ask her those questions. We'll talk about that. Trust me, you'll be asking her these questions. I know that you will. You know how I know that?
You're going to tell me, though.
I am going to tell you.
We're going to be together with doing something together. You've already got me agreeing to everything you're doing, so I figured she's in there somewhere.
Yeah, Drama to Dharma on Thursday night, the 25th at 7 p.m.
Of this month? Is that something that should be in my calendar?
Yes. Hey, Josie, do you see where I'm like, we didn't talk about it before the show, so I'm just kind of filling them in, just so you all know. Sai's going to be on Drama to Dharma Thursday.
I'm just putting it. Okay, Deb, you're on.
Rock on. All right, you guys. I'm sorry, dear.
What time is it on the 25th?
It'll be at 7 p.m.
That's the one time I can't do it. That's the only problem, because I have a class at 7 p.m. on Thursday night.
Hey, Josie, we can make it 6. Well, we'll talk about it after. We'll get it figured out.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take you off with that. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you. Can I say a blessing before we go?
That's what I was just actually going to ask you if you
I know.
could. Yeah, of course you do. So I'm just going to put the screen back on you, and everybody, please go. Just go to YouTube. All you have to do is put Enlightenment Now into the search on YouTube,
Yeah.
and you can find this movie. It's brilliant, brilliant. Josie says we can do it at 6 o'clock. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do it at 6 o'clock. This is how you schedule shows now on Spirituality Gone Wild, just because you all know. We
Oh,
are
wow.
we are family.
So I'll just be going from one class to another. Maybe I can get my class onto your class.
I'm loving this. You're going to have a blast with Josie. She's very connected and to Archangel Gabriel. So, and it's going to be quite fun. All right. So everybody, I'm going to give it back over here to our glorious Sai and thank everybody who has been here tonight. But you guys ready for some more energy?
Just want some love. It's just a blessing. If we can just take a deep breath. First of all, I wish you good health, long life, prosperity, happiness, and peace. And may you be protected and guided by the divine in all your activities, day and night, in all places. And if we can just take a minute for you to bless your life partner or closest friend and your children and pets and other relatives and friends, people through social media, everyone you know and everyone you don't know. May the whole world live in happiness and peace. May joy and love and peace grow in the hearts of mankind, particularly those that are leading mankind. May we love the earth and the animals and find how to live in a way that's in sync with nature, not having to kill animals and hurt ourselves, that we're living in a natural and healthy world, a conscious world. May we all find joy and happiness and peace. Om Shalom. Amen. That's it.
Amen. Wow, that was extraordinary. So Cindy says this was super interesting. We have Valentina who says that Sai has walked his talk, blessings and love, and beautiful audience tonight. They absolutely loved you. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. I feel lighter and more in touch. It's amazing. So you guys, I can tell you right now, you're going to see a lot of Sai on Spirituality Gone Wild, and look for it. It's coming. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., you know that we have Compassionate Talk, okay, with Love Coach Academy. And make sure to check out light-touch.me, Light Touch. And we all know that we thank Love Coach Academy as well. So without further ado, everybody, I love you. Let's say goodnight, John Boy.